What it do? What it do? What it do? Ricola, Ricola. Not even close to first. Not even close. What it be? What it do? Who it is? Oh, Nikki, no. Nikki's such a troll. Nikki, U equals troll. It's okay. But you're a troll. Thought you were 2.0, Nikki. Yeah, I don't think she's banned over here. I think Nikki 1.0 is banned over there. Who you doing? I was first to be ignored. Hey, that's something. Hello, sweetheart.
Honey.
So it works, so I can't actually participate in the stream, but what's up from Taco Bell? Sick. Working at the Bell. I need some connects in the fast food world, man. Shit got too expensive. I need a Taco Bell Connect, a Mickey D's Connect, and a Wendy's Connect. I think I'd be good with that. Maybe a Chipotle Connect.
I mean, with Connects, you still have to go out. Like, we can't hook you up over DoorDash if you have a Connect.
True. Well, it depends on the Connect.
Yeah.
Not on DoorDash, though. But you know somebody that works somewhere, you can have them bring you home shit after they're, if you... See, that's one of the things I miss about the old, like, communal neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in my 20s, I knew people in my neighborhood. And, worked here, there, and everywhere. And I could institute some trades. I'll bring home a couple Frappuccinos this time. You bring home some hamburgers next time. Can't get none of that going. That's my favorite black market.
Yeah.
Is low-paid grunt workers at these fucking retail establishments and food establishments, just like creating a whole market. Dinor, come here.
Yeah. That other doggy all worked up.
Why are you gonna do it?
Sit there. Stay there.
What do you think about Ukraine? I don't know. There's part of me that just wants to be quiet and let it play out. I feel like it's a little early to start, chest thumping. I don't really think it's a chest thumping matter. I'm just saying, like, pointing out that I was correct at the beginning of this war. But I did read an unconfirmed kind of gossipy report that, if true, is retarded. I read that Zelensky and his commander-in-chief of the armed forces are not getting along. And that there's talk of Zelensky firing the dude, which may trigger a coup.
Yeah. Well, he did block the elections, so that's...
Yeah, he just canceled the elections. And the only reason he's given is that, like, the Ukrainian people aren't ready for an election. It's like...
I mean, I get it a little bit. Like, They like doing martial law during wars to keep everything.
I don't know. No elections, full conscription. Army-aged men are prevented from leaving the country. Like, once again, I don't know if any of the scuttlebutt is true, but if that happens, it would be pretty devastating. And the exact thing, well, one of the exact things that I pointed out was that oftentimes when you dump weapons on a destabilized country, they get used against the population, would then become true. But I have noticed in D.
Don't be chewing nothing.
That's a cat turd.
I don't know if it's still there, but
Whatever, it's the remnants of a cat turd. You know, it's not a delicacy for you. It's not a Tootsie Roll, okay? It's a cat turd.
I'll double check. I thought I scooped everything.
No,
so.
I don't think there's anything, but he's going to that same spot.
Yeah.
He loves that stinky cat turd aroma. Smelly cat turd aroma. Hi, Paul and Amelia. Hello, Jane Atlantica. Remember when the dog turds used to turn white? Yeah, dude. And they were out for a while. They get that like fuzzy fungus on them, and they turn like white and fuzzy.
Yeah, I haven't seen it happen out here, but it happens in the little bucket that I scoop his poop in. Like if it rains, then it starts growing on it.
I got a belly full of white dog crap in me, and you lay this on me? Paul not puffing on the Hootie Mac. The Hootie Mac. Don't quit trying to make it happen. It's not going to happen. Vanilla Ice wasn't able to make it happen. It's not going to happen. Not one person that I ever met in my life unironically called weed the Hootie Mac. Okay? Not one. Got some Girl Scout cookies going today. Girl Scout cookies. Have you spoken with Pimp Monk anytime recent? No.
I think he went on the show, what, like 2 years ago or something? Maybe more.
It had to be more. Paul, what remake would make you more mad than a Goonies remake? That one would trigger me pretty hard. I don't know, like a Godfather reboot.
You can't have it without Marlon Brando, man.
No. Or like a Goodfellas reboot. That would suck. Reboot. Back to the Future. Yeah. That one would suck. There's a Bill Biv DeVoe album called Hootie Mac. Well, there you go. Now I know the fucking... It still didn't work. Still didn't catch on. Even Bill Biv DeVoe couldn't make it real. Roll up the Hootie Mac. Unbelievable.
I did get you some cones that should be coming soon.
Oh, really? Ordered some conage. Oh, thank you.
I finally remembered to do it.
Yeah. Oh, my hair's been so tangly lately.
Oh.
I need to get some, like, detangler, I think. They make that
Yeah.
spray. Because I'm such a wuss with it. I'm so tender-headed. Get out of here.
You gotta, like, try to grab it, like, right here, so that way you're not pulling on your scalp and then do it.
It's so hard. Can't wait until my hair is that long. Well, I mean, hey, if it's... I definitely like it. Like, I like having long hair, but I don't like owning long hair.
Neighbor doggy alone. Neighbor doggy don't like you.
Don't think you like it very much either.
You just troll it.
Yeah. Get dreads. I mean, I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of wants to try it out one time and just see. But it's a pretty heavy commitment. If you end up not liking them, you basically have to shave your head. Well, no, basically about it. You got to shave your head. How come you don't have donations open? My other channel got banned. That was the monetized channel, and I have not bothered to try and monetize this one, and I don't think I'm gonna. Because I think that monetizing your channel exposes you to more bullshit, false strikes, and copyright bullshit, so... I never really did this for the donations. I didn't have donations at all until, I don't know, I want to say like 2018 or some shit.
Want a dono? Do it on the Patreon.
Yeah, go become a patron, show up to an Onion Nuggets and donate towards a goal, you know. I appreciate, you know, the donos and stuff, but I just don't want to do them over here. All serious question: is it acceptable for you for a wife girlfriend to come home at 6 a.m. multiple times a week? Are you talking like for work? Because I mean, if she works graveyard shift or something, then yeah. If you're talking about she just like goes out without me and comes home at 6 a.m. multiple times a week, no. I probably would not be okay with that. I can't think of anybody that would be okay with that, no matter what direction in the relationship. I definitely have been in a position like that before, kinda. My first long-term live-in relationship, when I moved to Arizona, and then a few months later she moved down to be with me, she got a job at an Applebee's as a server. And that was through her that I learned that all of those like mid-tier chain restaurants, so think like Applebee's, Chili's, it's got, you know, it's not a fast food place, but it ain't fine dining. It's got a bar in it, so you can sit down and have happy hour at it. Business luncheon, Chili's, TGI Fridays type of places. They are all meat markets on the inside. Everybody is fucking everybody. Everybody is doing drugs with everybody. There's drama, baby mama drama. And she had this whole group of friends that I wasn't part of. And it was routine for them to close the Applebee's and then go to a bar. And she would come home stumbling drunk in the middle of the night. And yeah, that didn't go on long. I had to stop that. Because this was before the days where everybody had cell phones too. So it was like, couldn't get a hold of each other, or I couldn't get a hold of her. She never bothered to call the house to let me know, like, hey, I'm going to go out for a couple hours. Like, I wouldn't like. It's not that I feel like I had control over her social life. It was just like there was never any communication about
Yeah.
it, and I was
Pick up
never
the
invited.
payphone or whatever the fuck. Yeah.
Right. And I was never invited to come out and chill at the bar or whatever the fuck. I remember I had to go out with Rodney, my friend. How it ended was I was sitting at home bitching to him about it, and he was getting more and more mad with me. And then finally he was like, "Fuck it, dude. There's like like 5 bars in Chandler. Let's just go hit them up and find where she's at." And we did. Showed up at the bar. I wasn't 21 yet, so Rodney had to go in, ask her to come out front, and then I just told her, I said, "You leave with me, or you pack your shit when you get home." And that was the end of that. But that was at the end of it, going on and on and on. Was she cheating on you? Yes. I would come to find out after that relationship that pretty much throughout that relationship there was never like a chunk of time where she was faithful. She was out doing everything that I was worried she was doing, and then some. Only reason I'd be pissed if I wasn't invited to the Applebee's orgy. I wasn't. I never got, she never called me and went like, "Hey, we're all gonna go to the bar. You want to come?" No. Well, because I wasn't 21 yet. I was still 20 years
But
old.
there's other places you could go out that would be mixed age or whatever.
They could have
like
come
a
to our
pub or
apartment.
something. Yeah,
If there was just 3 or 4 of them, they could have come to our apartment and chilled.
Get a fucking 2-liter or whatever.
Yeah. Get a 12-pack or a 24-pack or whatever, and cheap bottle of vodka and some orange juice, and fucking come over. But yeah, no, she was serially unfaithful. And once you've experienced that, like, it's never like that nothing ever tops that first sting.
Do you wish that you had never learned about it because you found out after?
No, I needed to know.
Yeah.
I needed to know. Because I was not getting over her.
You felt like you were gaslit or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she left me largely out of just guilt. And I had no idea. And I was just fucking holding on for dear life to the relationship. And my friends finally staged an intervention, and they were like, "Look, dude, like, I hate to be the one to tell you this. It's not something I've known for a long time, but so your girl has been sleeping with this person and this person." I actually found out she slept with a really good friend of mine while I was out of town roadieing. It was fucked. It was that was like a gut shot. It's hard when your friend is smitten with someone who's bad for them. Yeah, I mean, I think my friends put up with it for as long as they could watch it happen. And then there was an intervention, and, I learned everything, that all the rumors and stuff, and went out and did some confirmation of my own, and it was this hot tub girl. Yeah, it's the chick I lost my virginity to. "Hey, Paul, I smell good. I smell like clean clothes and conditioner and weed." Still close with those friends? Nah.
It's just hard to have friends as an adult, period.
I feel like that's somewhat true. I don't think it's like impossible, but I think it's hard to hold on to friendships from your childhood. I think that's rare. And just because, everybody goes on, everybody's living in a different fucking town, everybody's got their own life. A lot of them, in fact, all of my friends from that era, save one, have kids. No, in fact, the one that I thought of has a kid too. So, you know, like I'm very nomadic. I hop around, you know, I'll live a place for a couple of years and then we're moving on to some other state. It just doesn't really foster in-person relationships very much. Paul, how did you get your confidence back after that? I want to know for myself. Like I said, I won't lie to you and tell you it wasn't a big blow. It was, dude. I walked around mopey for a while. I hit a really like low depressive state. Was, you know, maybe even a little bit. I don't know if I can even say it. I'll just say it. Fuck it, suicidal. Ever so slightly. I don't think that I was, you know, at the worst that I'd ever been, but definitely self-destructive. But ultimately, I came to understand that what she was doing was not born out of some desire to like humiliate me or to be bad to me. She was compensating for trauma. And you know, I look back over that relationship and I wasn't perfect or whatever, but one of the things is you just got to like stop with the narrative that it happened because of you. Because ultimately that's not the case.
You need more than sexual dissatisfaction to cheat, I think, for the most part.
Well, I mean, not for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But even if it is that, if there was no attempt made by the other person to like fix that or work on things or try different things, you know, and there was never anything like that. It was clearly just she was incapable of monogamy. And it was only really a bad thing because we were in a mutually agreed, committed, monogamous relationship. You know, but you know, there's a lot of like shame that comes with it. I think that dudes, especially that get cheated on, have always been shamed for it. You know, you're a cuck, you're this, you're that, and it really sucks. It can be really hard to fucking process. But ultimately, you have to realize that there's a lot of trauma compensation in people that profess openly to be in monogamous relationships and then run around cheating. And they live a really like horrible, introverted, secretive life. And they walk around feeling guilty a lot. And you're better off not being with a person that can't maintain that level of fidelity if you want it. No such thing as a poly relationship that isn't destructive. I don't know that that's true.
I think it's just a lot of them are unhealthy because it starts monogamously and then someone says they want to open it. I think that's a very different situation than like being upfront about it from the jump.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I've never really been in a poly relationship, and so I can't really speak to that from experience. It's not really something I don't think I'd be interested in, honestly. There's enough intrigue between two people. Adding a third fucking cog in that machine is it's a little much to consider. But yeah, you know, shitty times. What are you gonna do? It's one of those things I'm glad I went through. You know, it's an important lesson, and I feel like I'm a mentally healthier person in relationships as a result of that.
You learned what boundary you didn't set and what boundary you want in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't. The boundaries were pretty fucking clear, but you're talking about like with regards to like how I'm treated and shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like you said, you let the going out all night go on and on and on before actually confronting it.
Yeah. You know, the crazy thing is how many people are living in that type of situation and they won't confront it. It was a matter of time for me. It didn't go on for years. It went on for a couple of months, and then I fucking had my fill of waking up at 5 a.m. and wondering where the fuck she was. So, yeah. I'm a very direct person. Like I make a lot of allowances in my personal life for people's feelings because I'm a very sensitive person. And so I try and give what I expect, like put out what you want back. And so, but when I decide that something has to be taken care of, I'm one of the most direct motherfuckers ever. Because I just have never seen the value in pussyfooting around. If you know something to be true and you know it changes the nature of a relationship, or you know it's something that has to be discussed and worked through, you're you're silly for holding on to it for that long.
I think that's why some people just get out and like break out fights over stupid little shit. It's because they hold on to those deeper things.
Yeah, no, for sure. But
Like, I can't imagine getting like in a all-out screaming match over like some dishes or some shit.
yeah, and I mean I've been in all-out screaming matches over dishes, but it really is never the dishes that are at the case. I've been in that tight, like that first relationship too. In addition to the infidelity and cheating or whatever you want to call it, was a physically abusive relationship as well. It's another thing that like men are really shamed. But she would get, like, when we would fight, she'd get ultra fucking aggressive, and she would do this thing where she would get close to me, and I would try and back away, and I'd end up against a wall. And then once she had me up against the wall, she would grab me and just like dig her fingers into me wherever. You know what I mean? Like pinching and shit. And she would hold me there and scream, and we'd fight back and forth like that. And that was awful. That's something that I would never put up with in a relationship. I'm glad I'm free of now. I didn't recognize that as what it was. I mean, that's physically and psychologically abusive, like textbook. She's putting her hands on me, preventing me from fucking getting by, because it was that's basically what it is when you have that kind of, because there's a huge imbalance. And I think it exists for a good reason. We have a cultural thing. You don't hit women. Dudes that hit women are the lowest of the low. And I think the cultural reasoning for that is that women are generally not as strong as men. Men can do way more damage than, not that women can't fuck you up, but on the average, men are physically bigger, stronger, more adept at that sort of thing. And so,
and for a long time too, they were more like economically advantaged, like that with imbalance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they still are to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the kind of like male female on male physical abuse that goes on makes huge use of that cultural thing, because if she was a man doing that to me, I'm not gonna haul off and punch immediately as soon as stuff starts getting heated. But if this person is like backed me up against a wall, I'm gonna hit them.
Well, it's goading too. It's like, oh, if you hit me or push me back or whatever, then I can say this.
And if I call, she can flip around and say, oh, he hit me.
Shoved me, whatever.
Yeah, he pushed me down or whatever, and that's how he got the scrapes on his arm. So there's a real problem with that in society, for sure. Like, there's a lot of that shit that goes on and goes under the radar and is even accepted as like kind of normal. Like, there are these videos where you'll see like a chick slap a dude at a bar or something. And there's a lot of people that look at that and go like, oh yeah, but if he fucking hits her back, it's over for him. If he defends himself in any way other than like trying to restrain her, and even then, mostly just taking slaps. Taking claws, taking punches and kicks and knees and shit. It's fucking crazy. Like, I'm a dude that never wants to fight. For me, like, fighting is life or death. And most situations are not life or death. I would much rather have a conversation or de-escalate or fucking move to a different place or whatever the fuck than get in a fist fight. But like once again, if that was a dude pushing on me, grabbing me, digging his nails into me and shit, there would have been a fight. But I would was in a position where I couldn't defend myself against it, and then it's just accepted as normal. Oh, so and so's crazy. She'll fucking smack you up. You get out of line. You know what I mean? But if that was me they were talking about, it would be to like a fucking detective or some shit. Oh, he likes to slap her up. A lot has changed since then. That is true. That was in my early 20s. So it would have been 2002, 3, 4, 5 ish. I'd let a woman slap me just to feel something. Damn.
Consensual slapping is different.
Yeah. Another thing is, if you're trying to hold a girl off someone, you might grab her in a way, an accident. No, I know. The whole thing is fucked. The best answer is nobody should put their hands on anybody.
Hey, what are you sniffing at?
Especially not in some kind of argument. Like, that's the best answer. There should be no need to break people up because there should be a cultural taboo against fucking attacking one another.
Put up a beat with abuse from these pets, though. he's hit you a number of times.
Oh yeah, I've taken a few shots to the mommy daddy button.
He's too cute to get mad at.
Yeah. Few like really callous steps as he crosses over me on the bed. Just like, and let me put my back foot on your kidney and put all my weight on it. Lots of like jump ups at inopportune moments. Broke a rib, saving you from falling when you were a puppy. You've assaulted me, Nanor. You're physically abusive, boy. I was like, nah. Whatever, Dad. See, look, I brushed his tail all out.
Yeah.
And today it needs to be brushed again. It's just such a fucking... He's such a mutant.
Yeah.
Like, dogs ain't supposed to have that type of fucking hair.
Yeah. He's a roly-poly boy that wants to...
He's got
everything up.
You have to brush his tail every day if you don't want it to be tangled.
We just gotta commit more to it and just be like every day.
I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe we take down his flag for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe like start it fresh. Maybe that'll help.
Trim it.
Yeah.
With scissors.
Or maybe
whatever.
even the dreaded whip tail.
We don't have the right razor for that.
Well,
I thought you didn't want to take him to the groomer until
I'm not talking about right now.
Yeah.
When we do.
Yeah.
We could probably, I'll hold him down and you could probably take a few inches off of it if we wanted. It would look crazy. But I blame alcohol. I mean, I'm not gonna lie that there wasn't a bunch of fucking drug use and alcohol abuse involved. There was, for sure. And it definitely is something that plays out, but it's not always the case.
Well, and you can't blame it solely on that. It's not like you have zero control when you're drunk. You're not going to do something absurdly out of character just because you're drunk. There's a part of you that wanted to do that in the first place.
Yeah, but I mean, alcohol does lower inhibitions. It's extraordinarily psychoactive. It dulls perception. So yeah, it's not an excuse, but it is often found with violence in the home. Been an epidemic since before America was America.
Yeah, it's one of those things like the prohibition it had a point. It's not like it happened just for prudishness.
No, I mean, prohibition started as a temperance movement by women trying to bring attention to and hopefully halt the culture of silent abuse that was going on in almost every American household. Like the common American household had dad drinking all day long, and then after work going out with his friends and spending the paycheck on getting drunk, and then coming home and oftentimes being, at the very least, emotionally neglectful, and at the very worst, physically violent to their families. And so it wasn't like, it definitely had a puritanical note, but it wasn't like there was no justification for trying it. Like that's the reason prohibition happened, was that women finally got fed up of, because back then there was no such thing as marital rape. Just wasn't an existent thing. So you can imagine how that was taken advantage of by abusive men in relationships. And then women just had no social status, hardly at all. They didn't,
Yeah, like what do you do if your husband's spending all the money on beer and you can't work? And...
You're not even on the bank account.
Yeah.
Like if you need money, you have to ask him for it, and he doles it out.
And if he doesn't have it,
and if he doesn't have it or doesn't give it, you're fucked. So yeah, if your husband goes out, gets drunk after work, gambles away the paycheck, you and your family starve for a month. You're eating fucking flour cakes for a month. So I'm not a big prohibitionist when it comes to things that people put in their bodies. But if we're going to have the kind of like celebratory and unrestricted kind of attitude that this country has towards heavy drinking, then we need to have a state apparatus that is of sufficient size to help people with alcoholism and shit, period. It should be absolutely federally funded, robust, and available everywhere.
Something that like health insurance covers.
Yep. Victims counseling and all the things that go into like stemming the problem. It just needs to be funded and directly addressed. And not gonna happen probably. I would guess not gonna happen. But I won't profess to know for sure.
And opiates are probably higher on the priority list.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no fucking state apparatus for that either.
Yeah.
There's no robustly federally funded drug rehabilitation and intervention program. There's a bunch of small programs at the federal and state level that are unevenly applied and woefully underserving the community.
But most of them, it's like get lucky in drug court and you have to go to NA.
Yeah.
That's that. Flies are bad because it's just a little bit warmer today.
Yep. Flies. The rain is coming, you flies.
And it's going to cool all the way down again.
Yep. And it's going to be cold, and you and your ilk will be gone until spring. Oh, what do you do to stop the state of the world getting me down? I don't really intercede. It gets me down sometimes. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily healthy to detach yourself completely from the state of things. I try not to fucking sit and dwell on it on days that I'm not working, but you know, I'll kind of like automatically check the news sometimes. It's just a remnant. Like I used to read 3 major periodicals pretty much every day. So I had a subscription to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. No, sorry, the San Francisco Chronicle and my local paper. Plus, I had access to all the newspapers at Starbucks. Like when people were done reading their newspaper, they would put it in this basket next to the trash so that other people, I would just fucking raid that every day. So I was reading constantly, watching the news constantly, trying to get my info from multiple sources, you know, all the cablers and Al Jazeera and all of that shit. And I was really immersed in politics. And I gotta tell you, dude, it was not, I just about blew a gasket. Just about fucking blew a mental gasket on it. Because I was just fucking following the tragedy train every fucking day and local paper boomer. I mean, whatever.
Well,
Local news is important. If you live in an area, it kind of like helps to know what's going on.
But I was gonna say, like, you mentioned that like volunteering helped you kind of get out of that. That can help if you're feeling extra doomerish, just to do one little thing to help make it a little bit better.
Yep. Very true. Paul used to read the paper about the war in Japan. Dude, I know newspapers are not common, but they were very common in my day. They were considered to be, even after the internet really started getting rolling, it was a while before reliable, usable news was available there.
Well, like, they didn't want to invest in putting all their shit online right away.
And so, like, these periodicals, they were notable.
Do you think they regret putting all their stuff online? Like these newspapers?
I mean, I don't think they had a choice. Yeah. People just stopped getting the paper. Like, even old people don't get the paper now. They've moved to getting their shit from TV or from CNN.com or whatever it is. It's quick, it's easy, it's idiot-proof. Nobody wants to deal with having all the newspapers stacked around all the time. That was honestly my first job. I don't ever talk about it. When I was a paper boy. I had a paper route when I was 14. 13 into 14. And that sucked. Yeah. I had to get up every Saturday morning at like the butt crack of dawn. Because the papers would come in the stacks and I had to roll them up, put the fucking rubber band on them, put them in my bag, and then I had to go hit out all the houses. It fucking sucked, dude. Yeah, I got fired from that job. Yeah. There was this
eating them.
No, I was good about that because I wanted to make sure people caught their but I did throw them. Yeah. That was common though. I got good. I could hit. You just hit their front door with it.
Intentionally doing the bushes and shit.
No, I if I fucking threw it and it went wild, I'd get off my bike and go do it. But the idea was to try and get it done as quickly as possible. Yeah. Not only so you could be done with it, but so that people had the news. They had this thing called a pink sheet, which was an extra free paper that they wanted me to give to everybody on my route. It was coupons, basically an ad for like, hey, get the Madura Tribune. And so I had to hit every house. And so I had this huge bag of papers for subscribers and then this huge bag of fucking pink sheets. Fucking pain in the ass. So I had multiple people ask me, like, hey, no offense, but could you stop bringing me this? I don't want this, and it's just junk mail to me. And I'd say, okay. And so the fucking newspaper found out after a couple of weeks that I wasn't giving out all the pink sheets.
Yeah, because like you didn't take them and left them in the stack or what?
I would take them,
Yeah.
but I would just come home with like 10 of them. And they found out I wasn't throwing out all the pink sheets, and so they told me, they were like, you have to hit every door with a pink sheet. And I was like, I'm not gonna, like, after somebody's asked me to not, please don't throw this on my porch, I'm not gonna do it. Fired. It's like, I gotta live in this neighborhood, dude.
Otherwise, you'd have to just write like, "Sorry, I don't want to do this" on every pink.
Yeah. Well, I was fired for insubordination. I was fired for refusing to do what I saw as litter on people's fucking lawns that had directly made it clear that they did not want their pink sheet. I wasn't going to keep throwing shit at their door at fucking 6 in the morning if they didn't want it, Like, you could have just lied and say you did. Well, so in a small town especially, they would drive your route and make note. They would even watch you. Just park somewhere along your route and sit in the car and just look like you're fucking getting ready to go to work or something, and see if I'm missing pink. If they want to know, they're gonna know. They're gonna check on you. I mean, ultimately, that's how I got caught. I told them, yeah, I'm throwing out all the pink sheets. But yeah, they're double checking those pink sheets because that was a big ad campaign for them. They made money selling the ad space, and they had to show like 95% compliance to get the money from their clients or whatever. So it's just a numbers game.
Sorry, baby.
Oh, I'm sorry. Put some socks on my feet. Oh. Bleh. Paul has a waddle when he walks. The guy's house exploding on DFF was crazy. I know. some shit that you just don't see. Some like fucking Apocalypse Now shit down on the fucking block. Sky's pretty today. You guys can kind of see it. It's supposed to rain later tonight. It's just like the outer bands of a little storm system or whatever. Like super blue skies. And then wispy, poofy, popcorny clouds. Streaky. It's like a Bob Ross painting. We're just going to put quite a few happy little clouds. Maybe there's a storm rolling in, but it's not quite there yet. So we're going to go ahead and fill this big, beautiful sky with some of that phthalo blue mixed with a little alizarin crimson. Freaking out over a blimp in the sky. There's no blimp. Man, the flies are insane there. They are. They're extra bad in the kind of area that I'm in because I'm not far from a riverbed. And so, obviously, extra standing moisture equals extra fucking house flies. But they get really fucking aggressive as the weather is changing. It's been real. I'm surprised that there are so many because it's been really cold the last few days. And today's the first day that it warmed up, and they've all reemerged from their little hidey holes or whatever. You still have the salt gun? I do, but I think I might need a new one. I think I might have worn the salt gun out. Get out of here. Yeah, they're not biting flies. They're just like little, just little annoying fucking, for some reason they keep coming over to bother you, when they got this whole yard and the whole world, in fact, but you or what they want to just like, I guess they want to feed on your little crusty dead skin cells and shit, so they just... You're actively trying to kill them. You're like, and they could go eat some fucking shit right over there. It's getting into summer here. Rural Australian flies. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little stoned. Yeah, flies are the same there. Yeah. Fucking little bastards. Ooh, red-tailed hawk. I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know if the angle caught it. Big red-tailed hawk. Out on the hunt. They're drawn to the warmth. Ugh. Go get your own warmth. Don't make me get another salt gun. If I get another salt gun, I'm getting a pistol this time. Because the shotgun is a little cumbersome. Get a pistol.
eyes are drawn to evil. Can't even see Barack Obama unless he's got a fly somewhere on him. He's always covered in flies.
No, dude. A little salt revolver. Like Walt from Gran Torino. We just watched that. That's a good movie, by the way. Not that that's a controversial opinion, but I don't see people talk about that movie all that often. I mean, it's not a perfect movie. I feel like the principal Hmong actors were not great. I think that they were casted more for their ethnicity than their acting chops or whatever. But it doesn't like drag the movie down or whatever. The girl was all right, but the kid Toad or Tao was not good at all. And the girl was aight. His sister was aight. The other family members and stuff, the ones that primarily spoke Hmong, were pretty good. The Hmong gangsters were pretty good. But just those like principal central arc Hmong characters were kind of bad. But I mean, Clint Eastwood is in amazing form in that movie. It's just iconic, dude. Gran Torino is great, but the scene where he intercedes with the black kids is very unrealistic. They could have beaten him up. He had a gun. Did you forget that part? Like, he had a big fucking, like, 9mm that he whipped out on him. I think, it's pretty plausible. Had a gun and knew how to use it, yeah. No, he had a big, semi-auto handgun. It is 1911 45. Okay, yeah. I mean, he could have fucking blew a hole the size of a fucking grapefruit through each of them. I don't think it was all that unrealistic. Yeah, he was packing serious heat. Like, he fakes him out first. He does his little trick of like going to light his cigarette, and he reaches in, and they tense up like they're gonna jump him, and he pulls out his hand like that, and he goes, and they're like, man, get the fuck out of here, and they start to come for him, and he whips the 1911 out. That changes the tone of the conversation. I mean, his attitudes towards minorities for the generation of person that he's portraying are not strange or overblown either. Like he that's a pretty accurate representation of how that generation of people. He was a Korean War vet. One of the things I kind of like about a beard is that you kind of have to accept, if you're going to keep a full beard, you kind of have to accept on a certain level that sometimes you're going to drink like a Viking drinking mead out of a fucking ox horn, you know? Like it's going to dribble down into that beard. The hair breaks the seal on these cups, I'm telling you. And it lets a little bit, you go for a big gulp, it lets a little liquid trickle down into the beard, just like fucking barley wine after sacking a village. I want to like mead, but it's gross. I don't know, I've had some good mead. It's probably an acquired taste, I would imagine.
I'm used to.
Checked in recently with an old lol cow that I'd kind of forgotten existed. It's this dude, King Cobra. Have you ever seen him? He's just like a weirdo dude that gets trolled a lot and streams a lot. I don't know his whole background and shit, but somehow like a recommended video for him ended up in my feed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shit, that guy. Let me look and see what he's up to. And I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole because he's brewing his own mead.
Oh yeah.
Because he's like an incorrigible drunk. Mm-hmm. And so, but he's always broke because he basically lives on the tips that people throw at him to troll him. And so he was brewing his own mead, and he makes this shit that, like, there's no way he's not poisoning himself. Yeah. It's like he's throwing cookies into the bottom of the mead, making this, like, slurry with it, putting a balloon over the cap, and then wait until the balloon has some gases in it, and then he smells it, and he'll go like, smells like mead, and he'll drink it. And it's just like this putrid mix of, like, Cholula hot sauce and cookies and jalapenos. It's fucking garbage. Yeah, he's basically making like really low quality Pruno. Prison wine. He's not making mead. He's making some weird fucking Pruno shit. And he's gonna end up getting like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of foodborne risk, I would imagine, drinking fermented crap. I was like, whoa. Well, that was a fun little dip of my toe back into it. Now I'll be getting King Cobra shit for the next 6 months in my feed, though, because I watched one video.
You notice that like lower view stuff is starting to get recommended more.
Yeah, that's actually a good sign, I think.
Yeah.
I especially in like gaming,
Yeah.
because I watch a lot. You've seen like
Yeah.
I watch a lot of like let's plays and like battle reports and stuff for people that do different games, fighting game stuff. So I watch a lot of gaming videos, and I've clicked on gaming videos and watched them through, and then looked and seen that the person had like 20 subscribers and like 300 views on the video, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That video is actually getting out there in the matrix a little bit, because there's a ton of content out there that's just buried because nobody knows what to look for.
Yeah.
King Cobra ate cat food to own his trolls. What like wet food or dry food? Because there's a difference there.
Yeah.
They're both gross, but one is way grosser. Wet? Oh my god, dude! No, he didn't. How's that own his trolls?
I don't know if it was a choice if he's that broke.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'm watching you. You gonna go potty or are you just skipping around?
He ate the whole can? Well, how does that own his trolls, though? I don't understand.
Why you got leaf beard?
Yeah, that's fucking gross, dude. Everything that you don't want to eat off of an animal is in cat food and dog food, especially with wet food. It's like organ meat, like we're talking like pancreas and gums and lips and eyeballs and connective conjunctive tissue and fucking fatty deposits and like all the just like offal, liver and heart, and then it's just like mixtures sometimes of like different animals too. It's like chicken and fish, chicken and beef, turkey and chicken and fish. It's like, and then it's got no seasoning on it because there's no point.
I mean, there's gravy.
There's
Cat
gravy,
food.
but it ain't like seasoning. Like
Yeah.
there's no way that has any salt in it added. So it's just bland mush of leftover butcher shop sweepings. My cats seem to like it. Yeah, I know. Cricket gets a can. But
You wouldn't eat it.
yeah, Dinor likes it too, because when Cricket's done with the can, he knocks it off of the table he eats on, and then Dinor comes and uses his giant fucking 17-inch tongue to clean every little morsel of shit out. My cat doesn't like wet food. I know some cats are particular.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cricket's just particular about being fed routinely.
I mean, it's the only way we got him to lose weight. It was the wet food.
Well, the wet food and putting him on a fucking timer feed based two twice a day feeding schedule where he gets a little handful of kibble in the morning, and then he gets one can at night.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes at the same time every day, or else he raises holy hell usually.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dinor just gets kibbles.
And leftovers.
Yeah, and I mean, I would be willing to try getting Dinor some different, like a wet food every once in a while, but he's got such intestinal bullshit. Like if he goes off the type of food that his system is used to, he's got fucking the Hershey squirts for 2 weeks.
Like a little niblet of leftover here and there doesn't seem to
No,
him,
but I mean, it's more if you switched his brand or switched him over to wet food or something, it would be a fucking nightmare.
I bet after that one caper you told me about, it wasn't good news when you ate your cheeseburger or whatever.
Which one?
You told me that he took a cheeseburger one time.
Oh yeah, right off the fucking table. I got up. I had a joint outside at the Mandeville house. It was sitting in the ashtray out there, and I wanted to bring it in, and we'd got McDonald's, and I got my 2 cheeseburger meal with an extra cheeseburger and my fries, and I fucking walked away for a second. Came back, and I was like, the fuck? Little thief. Squex had me freaked out over there for a while because every time I would walk away from something with a straw in it, I'd come back and my straw would be gone.
I thought it was Corn Pop doing that.
Or maybe it was corny.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, it was corny. You're right. Those two.
It happened one time during the show when you were like
Yeah.
feeling gaslit. Like,
Those 2 little rapscallions. A pair of rapscallions over there. I'm as corny as Kansas in August. I'm as humble as blueberry pie. Well, have you heard of Working Families Party? Because it's kind of what you described in your Vosh debate. I have not heard of it, and that's, I think, part of the problem.
well, there's like 20
Yeah.
leftist third parties.
Yeah, right. If you really dig down, there's an infinite number of these little micro parties or whatever the fuck. I'm fine with it being the Working Families Party or whatever the fuck, but I don't know what.
They gotta consolidate their shit.
Yeah, they've got to get some big time unions under their banner, and then we can talk. You know, that's.
But as long as there's like fucking 10 different little iterations of a socialist party, it's not gonna go anywhere.
No.
That damn leftist infighting, man.
It does suck, doesn't it? Sucks, but it's necessary. These things have to be settled. Like a course has to be charted. And good ideas have to win, and bad ideas have to lose. And that's just the way it is.
But it's not gonna be done over the internet.
No.
Like,
I hope that, you know, I won't speak for Vosh or anybody else in the space, but I hope, like, I don't have any illusions of my online advocacy having much reach in the physical reality. I mean, I think it's an important thing to, like, hone your arguments, but as far as activism, it is not.
yeah, you're not going to make the new party to bring all the other parties under the tent or whatever.
I mean, like, that's the thing is, I'm pretty sure I could file for a non-profit thing and start a political party or something. It's just like my reach is so limited. I don't believe that many people in the space that I know that have more views would do much, if anything at all, to help it. You know, ultimately, I don't think I'm the right person as a figurehead. See, like, my view of, like, you know, when you're having, like, LARPy fantasies about La Revolution, I picture my place being with a bullhorn at the strike line. I don't think that I would seek a position of power in the union outside of using my rhetorical talent to whip people up on the strike line and to fucking have them push through the cold times and shit. Like, that's where I think I would belong in a union. I don't think I'm a good figurehead. I'm too controversial. I'm too, I don't know, too prone to showing emotion, which I don't think is a negative, but it's definitely a negative when it comes to running a big respected organization or whatever the fuck, you know. Too off the cuff. So I don't want to be the guy that starts it. I don't think that it would go very far if I was the guy at the head of it. but I'm willing to lend my support to the person that does start it. What's the Amazon guy's name? Sean?
Oh,
I'm thinking of Sean Fain.
no, it's, what the fuck was his name? Christian Smalls.
Christian Smalls. I had high hopes for him for a while.
I've heard rumblings that he's not doing everything a union leader needs to do. They're kind of feeling out in the wind.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
kind of sucks. But that's what we need. We need somebody that works for one of these big companies to get a social media profile. It needs to probably be a younger face. I think it's horribly damaging, this like race to 90-year-old president that we're engaged in right now. Like, I think it's horribly damaging to people's engagement. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be ageist or whatever, but when I see two old men who are both showing clear and unarguable signs of cognitive decline, age-related, I instantly have less respect for and less hopes for them as leaders. Because I know they're just going to be puppeted around by these special interests and the fucking little vampires that are close to them that keep the DNC shit going and the RNC shit going. It's just fucked. It needs to end. There needs to be a youthful face to politics again. I think that AOC and the squad did horrible damage, talking all their radical shit and running on this radical pro-union, anti-war, pro-Green New Deal platform, and then just rolling over and becoming establishment Democrats. I think that did a lot of fucking damage to young people's fucking expectations for politics. And I don't think anybody really wants to talk about it on the left because so many people were cheering that on. And the lesson that I hope people would learn from that is that this, like, let's get young, non-politically affiliated radicals elected to Congress and change the Democratic Party from within, like force it to change. It doesn't work. There was a similar fucking movement with similar goals just on the other side of the political aisle, the fucking Tea Party. Tea Party conservatives were sent to Washington on a radical platform of giant tax cuts and military support and all this shit, and they immediately sold out, and the movement went and just got morphed into the RNC. Now the Tea Party Republicans are the Trumpists. Pretty much the same type of platform. Hyper-nationalist, hyper-authoritarian, hyper-capitalist, low taxes for billionaires, you know. We just need a lot more Justice Dems. Well, there would be a lot more Justice Dems if the Justice Dems had done what they said they were going to do and acted like a fucking voting bloc and blocked some of this fucking legislation until healthcare. Block some of this legislation until Green New Deal. Block some of this legislation until military funding is addressed. That was the whole point of them. They were open and honest about, like, that's what we're going to do. And they had the fucking slim margin that they needed to do it. And when the time came for them to do it, a bunch of people that advocated for them went, whoa, wait, now's not the time. Now's not the time to force the vote. And it's like, because now it's never going to happen. Now they've lost the slim margin, and they've shown no willingness to work together as a coalition to hold up any fucking legislation coming out of their body. They're just useless little fucking media drones now. Still talking that big shit on Twitter, but then acted powerless. Like, I'm sorry, I calls them like I see them, and if you think that didn't do damage to, like, young people's engagement in the left wing, you're not paying attention. And why did that happen? old reformist thinking that's been the thought process forever and has bought us precious little and cost us an innumerable amount. As a European, I feel sorry for you. I mean, don't get too fucking smug, bro. Depending on what kind of European you are, you might live in a shithole too, all right? This idea that there ain't no fucking poopy places in Europe, I know to be factually untrue. Oh yeah, you guys got some pretty pre-colonial looking fucking buildings and some fucking Prada outlet stores and some fucking Dolly museum. You got some beauty. Got some good old architecture and good old fucking shit, but you got a good old standard amount of fucking total shitholes, bro. You ain't anywhere near as different from the United States as you think you are. Just another reason why fucking the whole concept of just dividing the planet up into little chunks and calling them countries and then squabbling over them endlessly. It just point, and you guys got a lot of the fucking same problems that we've got. Got right wing governments. You've got fucking shrinking social safety net. Housing fucking unattainable. You've got rising poverty, and then the thing that's always a twin of rising poverty, rising crime. Like, you guys are dealing with a lot of the same bullshit we're dealing with. So let's not get too fucking smug over there in Europe. Yeah, I mean, it turns out at the base level, people are people. And that's shocking. Dude, there's one thing. I know it's probably bullshit, but I think it's pretty cool. Have you seen that fucking line thing that's being built in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
The line. If that actually turns out like they say it's going to turn out, that's going to be like one of the coolest experiments. And it's basically like a multinational trade hub is what they're building, with a giant self-contained no roads city with centralized public transit and all that shit. It's gonna be fucking crazy. And people keep saying like they're not gonna do it, and every time I look into it, they've built more of it, and I'm like, oh. The greatest abandoned building in the world. Yeah, probably. Glorified metal prison in the desert. I don't know, dude. I've looked elsewhere in Saudi Arabia, and they build some crazy fucking cityscapes, dude. Have you looked at like the OPEC nations? Like some of the fucking, like Dubai, Abu Dhabi? These places look like something out of fucking like fucking Guardians of the Galaxy or some shit. Looks like the Guardians of the Galaxy would swoop down into some of these fucking cities in their little hovercraft or whatever the fuck to investigate a crime or whatever. Dude, they're doing some fucking insane infrastructural shit. Lots of slaves. Obviously built on the backs of slave labor and exploitative materials and all of that shit. I'm just saying from the perspective of like what can a city be. There are two places on the planet that I think are typifying that right now. One of them is those Middle East nations, Oman and the UAE and fucking Saudi Arabia, Yemen, maybe not Yemen. We'll keep it, Yemen's a little fucked up. Qatar, yeah. Bahrain, yep. And then the Chinese, dude. I won't be able to find it, but this was years ago. Somebody uploaded like a quick video. It was like a minute long, and it got it into my recommended feed, and it was like driving riding the train into Fuzhou or whatever. I can't remember the name of the city. It wasn't like Beijing. It was some city I'd never heard of. And the video is this person sitting in a monorail train, just filming the cityscape, and it looks like something out of fucking science fiction. It's insane. Buildings, giant holographic fucking displays. Like, it looks like Blade Runner, but before it went to shit. So, like, when it comes to investment, at the very least, in civic infrastructure, I know there's a lot of, especially with China, there's problems with both of them. I'm not denying that I'm not saying these are good things inherently. I'm just saying, like, when you set aside the human cost and everything and try and think of it just from the standpoint of, like, what can a human city be? It's interesting to take a look at those places. Because the answer is crazy. And that's why I'm interested in the line thing. And that's why I'm not so quick to dismiss. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand how much money is in those countries. Like, the people that at the top strata of those countries are oil billionaires. There was a dude, I don't know how credible this is, but there was a dude on Joe Rogan who said he's got a billionaire friend. And he asked him, like, is Elon the richest guy or whatever? And the guy was like, no. He was like, the richest guy is probably the king of Bahrain. And he said he makes he's worth over $1 trillion. He's already a trillionaire. And that's just, like, mind-blowing, because it's probably true. You got to understand, like, these nations, there's no law in place that says that the Saudi royal family or the Bahraini royal family have to disclose their fucking incomes. So we don't know how many hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars they have. So that's why when people poo-poo this line thing, I'm like, dude, Saudi Arabia has definitely got the money to build what they're talking about. I don't know if they'll get through it, but I don't know why you would look at like Riyadh and think, oh yeah, these people can't build anything. It's like, what? You seen that fucking cityscape? It's like the corporate dystopia before the dystopia fully kicks in. So when you play a game like Cyberpunk and you run around and there's graffiti everything and fucking big chunks blown out of buildings, because things have gone to shit. So it would be like Night City before it went to shit. That's what it looks like. I saw that one really tall building in Dubai. It's called the Burj Khalifa. It was for a while the tallest building in the world. I think it's been eclipsed now by South Korean tower? I can't remember. I do think it's been eclipsed, maybe in Thailand. But yeah, it's called the Burj Khalifa. Is it still the tallest? Well, there you go. I thought it had been eclipsed. But yeah, it's fucking insane. There, you can find drone footage of a dude standing on the top of the Burj Khalifa, and he sends his drone diving down the side of it, and it takes him like 3 minutes to get to the ground. It's fucking crazy that thing even exists and works. Jeddah Tower is another one that I heard about. That's going to be fucking crazy. They're building a tower that's basically a big square, and it's huge, tall, fucking mile-high tower that is hollow in the middle so that everything faces like different courtyards, and they put different courtyards on different levels. It's going to be this big like arcology style building. It's fucking crazy. I think that it's in development hell. I mean, I think the Burj Khalifa was in development hell for a long time too. They finally got it done. Yeah, it is in Hitman 3, you're right. The first mission of Hitman 3 is in the Burj. People that climb those things are crazy, yes. Can they even build stuff that tall in places away from the equator? I mean, they do. So, yes. They compensate for a gravitational pull and fucking wind and all that shit when they design these buildings. Earthquake tolerance and all that shit. Like, these are like, no, I'm not saying they're fail proof or whatever, but the Burj is a world class building. Every architect of the Burj Khalifa was American born. It just goes to show you what money. Because there's no money to build anything like that here. So they hire fucking amazing architects from all over the world to come and build it there. Like, that's pretty sad. It just makes you sad to think about like all the people here that are living in tents and little like lean-tos and ramshackle fucking things. And we've got like these big, beautiful cities that are just rotting from the inside out. And how like a huge infusion of infrastructure development and stuff could change the face and nature of these cities and how people interact with them. Revamp the way that we travel, update it for the modern age, create little enclaves that are better suited to the needs so there's not these big food deserts for people, provide affordable housing and all this shit, dude. The money's there. Like, people always go like, where's the money? Like, look at the fucking military budget. Look at the foreign aid budget. And I'm not saying I'm against all foreign aid, but just look at like how many hundreds of billions of dollars go to fucking Israel so that it can effectively ethnically cleanse a population of people. Look at the billions of dollars we dumped into Ukraine, and now we're waffling on funding. We're just like, I don't know if we're going to be able to send all the stuff you need anymore. It's just fucked, dude. Can't give you healthcare, education, or infrastructure, but I need $100 billion for war, Jack. Yep. Paul, you were based as fuck on Ukraine from the start. Whatever. I mean, at this point, it seems like things are starting to swing the way that I said they would. The American people have lost their interest in that war. The Ukrainian flags have come down from the bios, and Palestinian flags have been thrown up there. And, you know, America's cashed in. The fact that most of the stuff that we sent to Ukraine military-wise was done on Lend-Lease means that we own them forever. And, yeah. 350,000 people dead, conservatively, if you count both sides. Maybe close to 500,000 people dead in total. Conscription army in Ukraine, where you're not allowed to flee the hellscape if you want. Canceled elections. Factionalized military. It's not looking great over there.
Ran deep.
If you want my hot take on the situation, here's what's going to happen in Ukraine. There's going to be a settled agreement, an agreed settlement, or whatever you want to call it. There's going to be, they're going to cede some of the Donbass, probably the far eastern. They're going to cede a strip of the Donbass. They're going to cede some of these cities in that territory, and the border is going to be redrawn, and then Ukraine will be brought into the NATO fold after that happens. There's going to be a negotiated settlement. And the United States is going to play a big role in negotiating it, which they could have done from the jump. So that's what's going to happen. That's my hot take. And at the end of it, it's going to be 500,000 people dead, cities left in ruin, a lot of economic opportunity for American corporations and NGOs, and a whole lot of suffering for Ukrainian people. I mean, just the suffering from losing 500,000 people is enough. And that's what could have happened from the start. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. The United States had drawn a hard line and gone to the negotiating table immediately. They probably could have done it even better. They probably could have maybe even done it without any territorial ceding. I mean, if America really genuinely and honestly cared about Ukraine not being invaded, they could have let fucking Ukraine into NATO before. Dude, there's no way that fucking Putin is going to tippy-toe into fucking Ukraine if it's going to provoke a NATO conflict. Like, he's not, he's crazy and he's avaricious, but he's not fucking suicidal. So, you know, right there, that's a way that you could, if you could go back in time and institute that policy, there'd be 350,000 Russian and Ukrainian people still alive, at least. There'd be a bunch of beautiful cities still operating, a bunch of fucking housing and meeting the needs of its population way better than it is now. A bunch of families that didn't lose a son or a brother or a daughter or a mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or whatever the fuck. You would just resurrect about 250,000 people. It would have never happened. It's pure wishful thinking. Hey, sorry. I know you're a pragmatist, but I like to call that defeatism around here. That could never happen. No, it could happen. Could easily have happened. It's going to happen anyway. Like, you think that after this is settled, Ukraine isn't going to immediately be brought into the UN anyway? But Paul, money. Well, yeah, money. A lot of money to be made on suffering and war and rebuilding and training and military supplying. I mean, that's a fucking cottage industry right there, baby. Love bombing the fuck out of a place and then rebuilding that motherfucker. Yeah. A lot of dollars to be made in that. Not a lot of dollars to be made in a peace deal. So many wasted lives. I know, but everybody seems intent on celebrating these people's fucking, and in a lot of cases, conscription into this fucking horrible war. You know, the Russian army is heavily conscription. You know, the Ukrainian army is heavily conscripted. These are people that are literally being forced by their state to get in a pointless meat grinder war just to cause attrition on the global scale to a geopolitical enemy. And then at the end of it, they're going to do what they could have done from the start. They're going to negotiate a fucking peace deal and bring Ukraine into the UN. Or, sorry, into NATO. And that's it. Yeah, this channel is not monetized, so don't worry about the super chat. I appreciate the sentiment, but what are your thoughts on the current state of the labor movement? Really encouraging times. A lot of labor expansion, a lot of labor power changing hands. You know, the momentum has to increase, and there really needs to be a focus on nationalization, or at least unification under a political party. Labor needs to get into politics in this country in a big way. No more fucking half measures, no more like sweet words on the campaign trail from candidates and then fucking over the workers. We've had 40 years of that, and labor needs to fucking assert itself. That's my thoughts. Beyond the labor space, beyond the economic space, labor needs to assert itself politically. There needs to be a party whose primary concern is protecting consumers and workers. This would be a party that would be able to reappropriate tons of fucking lost tax money just by closing loopholes and bringing home some of this fucking dark money that's hidden all over the world. Could fund healthcare, could fund a new... what we really need is a modern Bill of Rights. Like, I'm not even joking. We need a modern Bill of Rights. Maybe as an addendum to the existent Bill of Rights. We need Bill of Rights 2.0. Within that Bill of Rights needs to be the right to a decent home and a decent job. And when I say decent, I mean enough to fucking live on and then some. Enough to go on a vacation with your family a couple of times a year. Enough to where you're not struggling and worrying every day. There needs to be a Bill of Rights. Was it Truman that called for an economic Bill of Rights back in like the fucking 40s? Or was it Rockefeller?
No, it was... Rockefeller has never been president.
No, I know. I'm just trying to think of...
I think it was Truman.
Was it Truman? Can you bring that video up if you find it for me?
Which one?
The one of him talking about the economic Bill of Rights.
Oh.
Sorry to... I just want to play it.
Oh wait, no, it was FDR.
Was it FDR?
Yeah.
I think maybe with the Truman, I was thinking about the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
I think he's...
Economic proofs have become accepted as self-evident. A second Bill of Rights, under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station, or race or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation, the right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him and his family a decent living, the right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom, freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad, the right of every family to a decent home, the right to adequate medical care, and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health, the right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment, the right to a good education. All of these rights spell security. And after this war is won, we must be prepared to move forward in the implementation of these rights.
Thank you, baby. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So that's what a leftist looks like in my world. That's what I expect from a leftist. And that's what's desperately needed in this country right now. So TJ's on a kind of a crusade against the word pragmatism.
Yeah.
He's been recently really talking about like the dangers of pragmatism when it's applied as a blanket philosophy. Sometimes what's needed is not the most pragmatic solution. Pragmatism doesn't always account for the necessary sweeping change that is needed. And it seems to be invoked every time I'm told why something can't happen. It's already dark as a dungeon in depressing Ohio. Is it damp as the dew? Where the danger is double and the pleasures are few. Where the rain never falls and the sun never shines. It's dark as... True, but if you're asking for some unprecedented, you can't be mad when asked to be pragmatic. Well, I think the idea is that pragmatism is now being invoked to just maintain the status quo as leftists is the best that we can do politically on the national scale. Just absolutely hope that we have somebody that'll pump the brakes on whatever the right wing is cooking up just enough to get us through another fucking election cycle. And that's, it's my contention that that is a losing strategy. That people need help now, that we are a country in fucking multiple crises, and we need the government to act immediately. This is not something that we can wait. People are fucking dying here. All right? Lack of health care, lack of fucking access to insurance, lack of fucking access to just fucking needed social services. All of these things are killing people right now in this country, and they're spreading. They're problems that are growing. So the pragmatic solution might be, look, hey, we've got limited power in this, and we should just do for the 99% Hitler is what we can do. That's what we ought to do. I don't think that a third party is necessarily the most pragmatic solution, but I think it's the correct one. I think we need a radical shift, a radical shaking up of American politics. I think the old style of politics is not working to address the needs of the populace. I think we're all suffering for it. And I think the time is now, if ever, for this to happen. I mean, we just went through an unprecedented global pandemic, shut down the fucking economy, destroyed a bunch of small businesses. The time is now. Not tomorrow, not 4 years down the road of another doddering Biden administration. People are going to die. People are going to continue to die, not just here, but abroad. This ruthless, capitalist-driven, neo-colonialist exploitation of the fucking planet, funding and materially supporting bombings and horrible fucking war to profit off of it. The world can't survive this, dude. We're playing nuclear brinksmanship with a country that has enough nukes to wipe every human being off this planet, and then some. And we have enough it's fucked up. We don't have 4 years. We don't have 8 years. We don't have 12 years for this, whatever the fucking end goal is here. I mean, if I took Bosch right, it's never going to be good. We can't hope for anything good. It's always going to be oppressive. It's always going to be a yoke around our necks, and all we can do is suffer, suffer, suffer. Well, I don't buy that. I think people are needlessly dying on a planet with plenty of natural resources to support its population, and I don't think that's fucking right. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's something that should go on another 4 years, another 8 years, another 10, 12, fucking 14. How many years? How many years? It's been my whole life. How many more whole lives are going to go by where we're just fucking just status quo, maybe a little worse than the status quo, but not as worse as the Republican. That's a lose. It's a losing, defeatist strategy, and it doesn't serve anybody to make the argument either. It actually hurts your stated goal. If you want to get Biden elected, you should shut the fuck up about Biden or be heavily critical of him so that you maybe get a concession or two out of the old piece of shit before he goes up. You shouldn't be like announcing over a year out from the fucking election your intention to vote for Biden no matter what. You give away any fucking power you would have to pressure Biden, which was part of what you said you were going to do anyway. Like the last time this was sold to us, right, was, oh, we get Joe Biden in there, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but we pressure him. Now we're not going to pressure him even? It's not pragmatic to pressure him? See what I mean? So the pragmatic thing to do is to just announce your intention to vote for Biden infinitely until the end of time, so that you have no ability to affect like the polling data and the social media trends and stuff that you know that they're looking at. I don't think it's just I think it's an actively destructive policy to continuously, cyclically advocate for voting for the corporatist. This is not how we get these needs met for people. It's not how it works. Vosh has his needs met. Yeah. I mean, and then some. Vosh has lived what I would call being a dude from California who grew up in a small, economically depressed little town. He grew up in fucking Beverly Hills. He had it better than 99.9% of fucking people in America. He got to go to some of the best and highest funded schools. He lived in an area where just the housing was beautiful. Tons of shopping options. It's an upscale fucking area of the world. His dad works for Hollywood, yes. Dad's like a visual effects artist, right? And look, dude, that's a circumstance of his birth. But it comes into play when you're talking about economic issues. I don't think that Vosh appreciates how desperate not having money is. I don't think he's ever tasted it in his life. I don't think there's ever been a situation where Vosh was ass out with no parachute, looking down the fucking barrel of $2,000 in monthly bills and a $1,500 monthly income. I don't think he's ever lived it. And I think that it affects the way that he's fucking approaching this. I do. I think that if he knew what being poor actually was, I think in Vosh's mind, being poor is like, oh, you eat at McDonald's all the time, my dude. And you live in a little apartment and you can't afford to get a 2-bedroom, my dude. I don't think Vosh appreciates what actually happens when you're poor. I don't think he's ever experienced it. So his needs are met. He's willing to wait because he's got a fucking comfy ass fucking place to live. He's got money to spend on fashion stuff and travel and recreation. He's got a fluid streaming schedule where he can just disappear whenever he wants and stream however he wants. He's got it made, man. He's willing to wait. He's willing to kick the can down the road another 4 years, another 8 years, another 12 years, another 16 fucking years. Dude, if he can just hold on to that status quo for 16 more years, that'd be sweet, bro. And all that money, it's got mom and dad's money as a big fucking umbrella behind it. He's double covered, probably widely invested. Dude is handled. And I don't think he's ever been in a position where he wasn't. I don't think he's ever tasted poverty. I don't think he's ever fucking worked a 9 to 5. I don't think he's ever fucking had to really worry about how he was going to make rent or pay bills in a month, let alone 6 months or years. I don't think he's had to live on fucking packs of ramen. I've been through all of that. I don't think he's ever lost a family home and had to move into a fucking camper shell that you would put over a standard size pickup with a sibling and live out of that for a year. I don't think he's ever had anything like that happen to him in his life. And so I think he widely underrepresents how critical the need for radical and immediate government action and change is. I don't think he appreciates it. I don't think and I'm not saying he's incapable of doing it because he hasn't experienced it, but I don't think he's made any attempts to experience it. You know? Like Vosh claims to care about the plight of LGBT people and minorities and stuff. How cool would it be to have Vosh go to where those people live and talk to them? He ain't gonna do that. He's got a huge platform. He could give voices to tons of people who are just stereotyped out of existence in this fucking country. And maybe do a lot of good and maybe get some firsthand fucking experience on how these people live too. And what their day-to-day is. I think it would do nothing but broaden his perspective, and I think he'd come out the other end of it, maybe a little different politics. But I know, lived experience is cringe. I get it. You know, I mean, Vosh has done charitable work. That's not what I'm talking about. Charity, collecting a big bunch of money and giving it to an organization is fucking great and is necessary, and I commend him for doing it. But that's a different thing than like actually just like, hey, why don't I go down and stay in Watts and just kind of walk around or set up a booth at the college and talk to people about what their lives are like and what they want. I don't think Vosh has a union organizational bone in his body. I don't think he's ever experienced unionization. I don't think he's ever agitated. I don't think he's ever been around anybody who agitated in the labor space. I don't think he's ever lived paycheck to paycheck or hand to mouth. Paul, you're gonna have a stream soon where we can come on and talk on Discord. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Bosch talks to black people for the first time. Yeah. He does this, dude. Vosh had Candace Owens, I believe. Was it Candace Owens? No, it's not Candace Owens. Who did he have on? It was a black lady that, she was part of Bernie's campaign. She was like Bernie's social media manager or whatever the fuck. Her name is escaping me right now. Not Cat Black. No, not Professor Flowers. Brianna Joy Gray. I remember watching that in prep for talking to Vosh, because I know that she shares similar electoral criticisms that I do. And dude, you can fucking fact check me on this. You can go look it up. He did this fucking crazy Chicken George voice with her. I don't know if it was just like empathy, but all of a sudden he was like, you know, y'all just don't, I don't think y'all appreciate what's going on down there. Now, he started talking like this Chicken George, Colonel Sanders, kind of like blackish affectation when he was talking to her. Yeah, he did a Hillary Clinton. He did a Hillary Clinton hot sauce in my purse moment. And I was just like, you can go watch it, dude. I swear to God, he does it. Go watch his fucking interview. He might have done a couple. But just skim through his interviews with Brianna Joy Gray, dude. Yeah, he does this like, kind of like, I don't know what you'd call it. Like AAVE affectation with her, I guess you would call it. It's just like, well, you gotta do that though, bro. Was he being ironic? No. It was just as he was talking, like when he would bring up a point, he was like, well, I definitely understand y'all's struggles, and it's like he puts this weird affectation in his voice. Like he's like, oh yes, talking to a black now. How are y'all doing? You know what I mean? It's just very fucking strange. Reminds me how Quentin Tarantino talks around black people. Yeah, it's got the same energy. I know exactly what you mean. It's got the same energy for sure. I don't even know what you'd call it, dude. It's pretty cringe, yeah. But, you know, like, to tie that criticism in with what we were talking about earlier, So it's not like some scattershot thing. I think that just comes from a lack of experience. I think he spent most of his time in a white area, an economically high-end white area, talking to white people. I think he went to school with a bunch of white people. I think he's surrounded by whiteys. You know, I don't think he's ever like socialized with people that aren't white a whole lot. I think that's where the Chicken George shit, it's like a novelty that she's black. And so he's making some kind of like vocal accommodation for it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh about it. Maybe there's some kind of like empathetic language model that explains why people might do that. But I just don't, like, most of the white people I know, when you get around a black person, you're not like, yo, yo. You know, I mean, it wasn't that bad. But he's clearly like putting on an affectation that he doesn't use when he's talking to a white person. Like, I've never heard him sound like that in any other video. And I'm not claiming to be a wide Vosh watcher. I'm not. But when we had him on, I went and I watched a few of his interviews and topical videos and stuff to just kind of prepare myself positionally. And that one was one of the ones that came across my fucking notice. But I've allowed the chat to pull me into the Vosh vortex. This will be dismissed as cope, by the way, is what his fucking brain dead fan base will call this. If it's fucking mentioned at all. It'll be that'll be the big criticism. Oh, cope. It's like, alright, whatever. I can't have a discussion about what fucking went down. I can't have a discussion about the dude's politics now without coping. Give me a break, bro. I'm a fan of both of you. I don't see this as cope. Yeah, I mean, it's just discussion. And I have, you know, like, look, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying now didn't get a chance to come up in that talk. It got heated and it got hyper focused, and you know, I think everybody, when you have interactions like that, you always kind of like go back and go, oh, I could have done this better. Wish I would have brought this up. Or just have evolving thoughts that as a result of what you learned during the thing. And one of the things that really hit home to me was, I know a lot of kerfluffle was made about me raising my voice and calling him a lily white Beverly Hills milquetoast rich boy. But what it revealed in him is, you notice that like when I went at him a little bit, his first choice was to do a quick financial flex. Like that was his first choice of comeback. Was a little financial flex. Manage your finances better, which he claims was just a joke to goad me. But I think it's interesting, the joke that he picked to goad me was a financial flex. I think it was a revealing moment. You got a leftist here talking about ostensibly issues of the left, that in order to get a debate point or whatever, told a person that doesn't have as much money as him to manage their finances better, LMAO. I think it reveals exactly what I've been talking about. I think he just doesn't have a whole lot of experience, not only being poor, but being around people who are poor. I don't think Vosh is surrounding himself with poor people. And I think that is a that has an effect on his politics. I think to argue against that would be pretty hard in my mind. I know that how I grew up has a profound effect on my politics, so why wouldn't I assume, what would we assume from Vosh's upbringing or what we know of it? Because I've been completely open with you guys about where my politics come from. It comes directly from living in a family that had the blanket protection of a fucking strong union, and organizing with that union, and watching my dad be the president of that union for a couple of years, and watching what happened when that union was weakened, and what happened to my family, what happened to my parents' ability to provide. That's where my politics is rooted. I have empathy for people who had it even worse than me, and there are tons. I'm by far not the saddest poverty sob story that I know, so I have a profound amount of empathy for those people. I don't think they can wait 4 years for any kind of fucking help at all. I don't think they can wait 8. I don't think there's time for whatever this grand scheme is to play out before these people just die. And if you don't have the perspective of having experienced genuine personal poverty, I don't know how you would have politics that align with it very well. And make no bones about it, vote blue no matter who does not align with the economic interests of poor people. Not at all. Those of you that haven't seen the discussion or whatever, go find it's on Vosh's channel and it's on the DFF channel. You can watch it in both places. There's multiple. If you want to see it from his end, you can watch his. You want to see it from our end, you can watch ours. Pretty much the same thing. Although I did think he truncated his. You want to see the full discussion, it's on ours. I'm pretty sure he edited for time and maybe content. I didn't watch the whole upload on his channel, so. But I did hear that there were some cuts in it. Being in a racially diverse environment really changes your perspective, yet this chat is 95% white. How do you know that? Number one, like how do you know that the chat is 95% white? Yeah, Jawan, longtime mod of mine, is a black dude. I'm not claiming that it's like overrepresented here, but the idea that everybody's a Caucasian in here is just kind of presumptuous and stupid. Mixed race black here, and going to a DFF meetup is pretty damn diverse. Yeah, quite a few people of color, quite a few trans folk, people on this LGBTQ spectrum somewhere. I don't know what that criticism was meant to point out, but I think that I don't think that 95% of chat is white. So white, I might as well be albino. Same. I'm as white as you can get. But I grew up in a very racially diverse area, particularly Hispanic people. The area I grew up in was majority Hispanic in the schools that I went to, but already by the time, like demographically it shifted in my childhood. So most of my friends, especially in the early days, my younger, like primary school and middle school, were racially diverse. I had a couple of white guys. I had a bunch of Hispanic kids of varying flavors and a couple of Asian kids. Jeez. This phone keeps trying to go to sleep. Stop it. Stop it, phone. Yeah. I grew up in a racially diverse and largely impoverished area. And in that area, I was very privileged because I lived in a house and my parents both worked and all of that shit, and their jobs paid enough to, you know what I mean? Like, I was in a privileged place given the status of most of the people in the area that I lived in. So, and in that level, I experienced profound poverty. So, you can imagine what the lower end of that spectrum is like in the place I grew up in and elsewhere. So that's where 100% of my politics comes from. It is addressing the critical need. People are literally dying now. Not 4 years from now, not 8 years from now. There's going to be a ton of people that don't have moms, dads, brothers, sisters. We're dying 8 ways from Sunday, and we need immediate help from the government, and this ain't it. Joe Biden ain't it. We need an immediate cessation of armed conflict on the planet and a focus on rebuilding these war-torn areas and peacemaking. Joe Biden ain't it. We need an immediate addressing of the exploitation of the third world by corporations. We need to repatriate tons of offshore American business dollars and close tax loopholes immediately so that these social programs that need to be huge and robust and grow very fast can be funded. Joe Biden ain't it. Joe Biden and whoever runs after Joe Biden ain't it. And I think it's very easy for a dude that had Vosh's upbringing to say shit like, oh, all life is suffering, my dude. I wake up in the morning and I feel like sometimes that I can't get on my e-bike and go pick up my avocado toast and double espresso. I feel like I just don't have the gumption to do it, but I soldier through, my guy. I soldier through, and by the time my pedicure is over, I'm feeling much better. I go get a freshening up of my haircut, my dude. Then, sometime around midnight, I go on a walk around the inner city, and I find a homeless guy, my dude, and maybe I kill him. Maybe I just berate him and beat him very badly, so that he knows to be afraid of me, my God. You know, like, all right, I embellished a little with the Patrick Bateman. Vosh never says this. No, if you go watch the fucking discussion that we're talking about, pretty early on in the discussion, I bring up, when is the suffering and death addressed? Oh, never, my dude. Life is always suffering. You just have to grind your bones into dust, my dude. We all do. He wasn't joking or being... Get a job, Al. This dude is so far from suffering in an economic sense. You know, I know people suffer from other health problems, mental health included. So setting those things aside, he has no economic worries. You know what your problem is, Al? You've got a bad attitude. Do I really think it'd be quick enough to save everyone in imminent danger? No. But I think that it needs to be quicker than it is now. There needs to be a distinct effort in this country to reinvest in inner cities, to reinvest in social safety net programs. There needs to be a new economic bill of rights in this country, and it needs to happen now. And the longer we languish waiting for the perfect time, or I don't even know what we're waiting for, never can pin down the vote blue no matter who people on what's the end game of this. Just we die out on this cinder with the Democrats never fucking doing a thing and going like, well, at least we tried. Like, is that the plan? It's mass starvation, mass fucking migration away from these uninhabitable zones around the fucking equator. We just go like, well, we voted blue no matter who, guys. I mean, we rolled the dice and it came up snake eyes. Like, is that really what's the plan? At some point, right, we start talking about not Biden, right? I just want to know when that is. It's not this year. It's not next year. It's not 4 years from now. It's not 8 years from now. Because make no bones about it, this argument is not going to change. Let's say that the probability weighs out. Let's say Biden wins re-election. It's going to be 4 more years of we've got to fucking support whoever the Democratic nominee is because Trump might run again or whatever. Fucking Ivanka Trump is acting like she wants to run. It's going to be whatever. The fascists are going to fucking win. Vote blue no matter who. It's like, when is that cycle broken? Because remember, like on the national level, these are broken up into 2-year chunks of time. Congressional and presidential. Every 2 years, there's a major fucking national election in this country. How many more of those? Plan is we get to die, but a small liberal elite gets to live in a vault like Fallout. Oh, okay. Vault dwellers. Nice. If Hillary won, Roe v. Wade would be in place. Yeah, but Hillary didn't win because she was a horrible, middling, do-nothing, corporate Democrat that was saber-rattling and all kinds of shit. She lost because she was unelectable. People act like that there was some big, great crime done when Hillary Clinton did get elected. No, she didn't get elected because nobody liked her. And that's why every election since that election has been razor fucking thin. The margins have been incredibly small in comparison to other elections in my lifetime. Because Democrats aren't even trying to sell it anymore. Like, they're not even, like, vaguely gesturing towards it anymore. And nobody cares. Like, you have to address this fatigue that will build up in every human being. Trust me, if you're 20 now and you just got politically active a couple of years ago and you're fucking raring and ready to go, dude, fucking 20 years from now, watching shit just get worse and worse and worse, and these Democrats just fuck up and do nothing over and over again, there's a fatigue that builds up with that has to be addressed by your fucking political, like, stance. Like, if your stance is cyclical vote blue no matter who on the national level and on the local level, you have to address the burnout. Because to say that it won't happen is ridiculous. It's what's driving the fucking razor thin margins in these fucking states, in these swing states. This fatigue gets ignored by the Vosh community. Once again, I hate to fucking point it out. Lived experience. I'd be willing to bet a lot of Vosh's community are between the ages of 16 and 25. I'd be willing to bet that the vast majority of his audience is in that fucking age bracket. Maybe creeping up into the fucking early 30s. These are people that have been politically active 5 years, 6 years, maybe. You know, like, They don't address the fatigue because they're not feeling it right now, because they've been sold, just like I was, on this radical idea of like, hey, let's just hold our nose and vote Democrat. And that's the pragmatic, correct thing to do. 99% Hitler, we campaign. And I mean, there was an exchange that I think reflects this idea in one of the earlier talks that I had with Foch. I brought up Bernie Sanders' two campaigns for presidency, and I asked him, why did Bernie Sanders lose? And he went into some spiel about Bernie Sanders in 2020, and I said, no, why did Bernie Sanders lose in 2016? And his answer was literally like, well, you know, that was a long time ago, my dude, and I don't rightly remember. And I was like, wait a minute, you don't know why one of the most important progressive campaigns of the modern era failed in 2016? 2016 was a long time ago. Like, 2016 was yesterday, dude. But I guess it was a long time ago if you're fucking 20. Like, you don't know recent, like, you're advocating for a strategy and you don't know the recent history of your advocacy. You don't know the recent history of your strategy, but you're advocating for the strategy. You don't know why Bernie Sanders didn't win in 2016. You don't know what happened. You don't know how the DNC used its fucking ability to supersede primaries and install these fucking super delegates, they called them. They gave key swing states to Hillary and gave her campaign the momentum she needed to beat him. His campaign was scuttled in 2016 by the very organization that a lot of you are arguing that we should vote for. This is not up for debate. This is not Bernie or bust fucking salts. This is just the truth of what happened. Bernie's campaign was scuttled twice by the DNC. 2016, it was the use of superdelegacy. In 2020, it was this beautifully choreographed dropping out of every DNC-aligned candidate and their immediate fucking kowtowing to Biden. Yeah, that just happened organically. In the same 48-hour period, 9 people independently decided to drop out of the race and all endorse Biden right before a key primary. Give me a break. So they're actively fighting against the type of change that we need. This is not an organization that has any redeeming quality. It needs to be circumvented. Should lose respect for our institutions, not Bernie? No. I've lost respect for Bernie because he basically took it and never fucking spoke truth to power. Both times, when it came time, he bent the knee with no protest. And still to this day hasn't talked about the use of superdelegates to fucking preload certain fucking swing states for Hillary to give her momentum. He hasn't said a fucking word about the coordinated dropout of all the DNC-aligned candidacy to endorse Biden right before the primary. He hasn't talked about these fucking shenanigans that were pulled on him. And so that has made me lose respect for Bernie. That and his completely, utterly incomprehensible position on the fucking genocide in Gaza right now. It's shocking to me that Bernie Sanders is kind of out in the wind when it comes to even calling for a ceasefire. It looks like he's actually against it. It's like, yeah, that's not a good look from Bernie. But I still think he would have been leagues better than Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden. Yeah, he was spineless when he needed to be strong. He needed to call out this fucking dirty behavior, and he needed to stay true to his fucking campaign. And he just basically reintegrated himself back into the Senate, and that's that. And now he's like pro bombing Gaza, I guess, kind of. At least pro continuing to fund it. Kind of sucks. I think they showed Bernie a clip of the JFK assassination, but from the grassy knoll. And they were like, "Hey, you don't get what hey, it looks like you're doing pretty good in this election. If you happen to win, don't get any big ideas." Take a look at this nice little piece of footage we got from the grassy knoll. Dude, what do you guys think about that? That gets bantered about, that like when a president is elected or when their coronation is imminent, they're approached by who? I don't know. Somebody in the CIA maybe that briefs them on things, including the JFK assassination, and it's done kind of like as an intimidation tactic to show that like, hey, like you get too far outside the scope of things without having to say it, you know? Do you think that's just like paranoid thinking? I think it's a little paranoid, but I think it's also plausible. I think it happened to fucking Obama, dude. Obama aged 10 years in about 2 years during his presidency. Do you guys remember that shit? It was like he turned into a Sith Lord. Dude was fucking young and vibrant all the way up through winning. And then like 2 years into his first term, dude looked like fucking Darth Sidious. Big fucking dark circles under his eyes, gray hair, looked gaunt. Like kind of like pallid. Something about that job fucked him up. Except Trump, he got stronger. No, sorry, I can't let you get away with that. Trump deteriorated mightily over the course of his presidency. If you watch Trump give a speech now, dude, Trump's speeches back in the day, super high energy. Dude, during the 2020 campaign, oh my God, bro. During the 2016 campaign, super like, and then I would, he kept it up in that register. Now you watch a fucking Trump speech, and he's like, "These radical leftists. Oh yeah, folks, no. You wouldn't believe what they're doing. They're trying to make it to where boys and girls in school can crap in a litter box because they think that they're cats. This is the radical LGBTQ woke agenda. No. Like it's just like super fucking, and he's sweaty too. The last couple of times he's spoken, he's drenched, he's sweaty. Based trans cat students. Yeah, no. That's just a fucking joke. It's something that like a lot of these people covered as actual news. Like some fucking school somewhere is putting litter boxes in because kids are identifying as cats. It's like, no, they're not. This is ridiculous. This is like your fucking Daily Wire level fear mongering. You think Trump was on uppers? Oh yeah, I think both of these dudes. It would be really interesting. I know it'll never happen, but think about like a Freedom of Information Act addendum that allowed you to request the recent medical charts of anybody serving in high office. Can you imagine the fucking slate of medications these last two presidents were on to keep their fucking cognitive function in line and shit? Dude, I bet it's shocking. I bet both of these dudes are medicated super heavily. Super heavily. Giuliani special win, Paul. I mean, take it from a guy that's also heavily medicated, all right? It takes one to know one. Let's just put it that way. That's reasonable. I want to know the pilot isn't baked. Yeah. Or I want to know if the pilot has a diagnosis that might affect their ability to make important, tough decisions at a moment's notice. Something like early onset dementia, frontotemporal dementia, age-related macular degeneration, or whatever the fuck. I want to know what they got. Would you consider heavily medicated? I think it's a foregone conclusion that both Trump and Biden are given a cocktail of meds that just daily, and then are given more meds or different doses of meds on days when they need to perform. So I feel like that there are a lot of examples you could pull of both of these guys where they are clearly on some sort of fucking stimulant of some kind. They're on some sort of mood elevator, some sort of fucking direct stimulant. You just see it. Sometimes they're just like, Biden gets so fucking crazy sometimes on it that his brain out talks his mouth. And he just mush mouths every fucking thing because he's just like a mile a minute. You can see it in their fucking eyes, dude. It's like, see, here's the thing. And look, dude, I'm just making an appeal to authority and a lived experience argument here. I grew up in an area around a bunch of people who take meth. The area that I grew up in is one of the meth hotspots in the United States. I know what a person who's on meth, and I'm not saying they're on meth, but I'm saying I know what a person on stimulants looks like. I have intimate knowledge of it. And dude, I can see the little ticks and the little signs and shit. Like, I have a sensitive fucking nature to me. I can kind of tell if somebody's spun up. Like, if somebody is spun, I kind of know it. I've been around it my whole fucking life, dude. The teeth grinding, the fast talking, mush mouthy kind of thing, where it feels like the brain and the mouth are out of sync. The waxy kind of skin and the really intense eyes that kind of dart. Dude, these dudes are fucked up. There's no way. They're on something. They got a clenching jaw, the licking of lips, the dry mouth. Let me tell you something, man. It's like, you all right there, buddy? And I think the American public has the right to know how coked up our fucking leaders are. Like, because my guess, my uninformed and uneducated opinion on it is that they're pretty fucking keyed up. They're on some stimulants, they're on some mood elevators, they're on some fucking shit. Yeah. Dude, mandatory drug tests for everybody in Congress. For sure. 100%. Alcohol, too. Like, if you're showing up for work on the day that you get your random fucking drug test and you're drunk, we need to know that. And you know it's happening. And there's no excuse for it. If they're going to put fucking American workers through that stupid bullshit, why aren't the most important people in this country that are making all the decisions for everybody put through it? Mandatory fucking, like, fucking random, unannounced drug tests of everybody serving in high office in this country, all the way down to the local level, and an immediate release of any fucking results from any drug test, so that we can see what these motherfuckers are on. Just think about that, dude. You know how many of the people that go in to vote on national level items are drunk or spun out on fucking Xanax or on coke? I bet it's alarming. Like, I bet it is full-blown alarming. Anyway, whatever. I'm done. I'm ending this.